This is Ultimate Soccer with Soccer Steve.
And welcome in, guys, to the pre-game Canada-Uruguay. This is going to be a very tough test for Canada, I tell you what. But on the back of what's recently happened with Uruguay, which will interest you, you got to say, is Canada up for a bit of a shock result, or are we going to get squashed by a big team? We don't normally get squashed, so let's keep it this way. I think there's an interesting game coming off, but before we do, it's not coming off in Vienna, it's not Austria Wien's place, it's coming off in Slovakia, and it's coming off in a place called Telne Pula. That's the name of the stadium in Bratislava. Slovan Bratislava play there, but Telne Pula, well, that translates to Brick Field. Yep, Canada tomorrow plays at Brick Field in Slovakia, and we're taking on Uruguay. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game, and you know, like, there's a few elder statesmen up front for Uruguay, and there's also some young players up front too. We're going to focus a bit more on Uruguay on this one for you guys, so that you get some insight into what's coming our way. We don't need to talk too much on the Canadian team. We'll talk about the fact that the formation worked beautifully last time, and we'll look at that formation again, but we'll look to what we get this time. I think this time we're probably going to load up with a 4-3-2-1, or perhaps a 4-4-2. Johnny Herdman's definitely got to bring a big defensive display to enact the counter-attacks. I do believe we can get into this game, and I do believe Canada can have a word or two to say within the 90 minutes plus. I'm really not looking for us to get buried by Uruguay. I'd be very surprised if we did. But taking a look at recent results, let's have a look at some of the recent results. First, we'll take a look at Canada's recent results. So looking at the last three games, Canada played Curacao in the Nations League, won 4-0. Then we lost 2-1 against the old enemy, Honduras. Big up to Honduras for the win. And last of all, recently, the 2-0 win against Qatar, which really sent messages around the world about what exactly is with Qatar. Where are they at? Well, they're 48 in the world. We're 43. I think you can take from that, what we're looking back at, is that Qatar's nowhere near 48. Remember what I said about the ranking structure. We're definitely a 43 and worth it. We were 33 10 moves ago. Two windows ago, we were 33. Then we went to 38. Now we're 43. We've got to stop that train. With the win recently, that helps the next FIFA rankings, which will be after Everything Matters. The game has already come. The draw is already in. The groups are already formed. We're in Group F. And I've got to tell you, looking at Group F recently, let's take a look at Belgium. One of our Group F candidates. Before we look at Uruguay, Belgium played Wales, won recently 2-1, and then they played Holland and lost 1-0. Now Holland's ranked 8 and Wales are ranked 19. So Belgium had a couple of difficult games there, and they didn't fare too well, right? Yeah, they beat Wales 2-1. You'd expect them to. But they lost 1-0 against Holland, which they always have been in Holland's shadow. Let's be honest. The Dutch have always had Belgium's number. If you look at big competition throughout history, Holland's gone further than Belgium many, many, many times over. But Belgium, second in the world, I've got to say, a win and a loss in this international window. They haven't looked fantastic. They've just done enough to look like a big team. But they haven't done enough for me to be scared of them, to think that Canada probably could get a result. I'm not saying we're winning that game. We can. But I'm saying we can get a result. A draw would be a great result in that first game. A win would be magnificent. But I'm just saying a draw would be good. Next team we're looking at is Croatia. They're ranked 15 in the world. They recently played Austria and Denmark. They beat Austria 3-1 on the road. And then they went to Denmark. They played Denmark as well. And just narrowly beaten Denmark 2-1. Denmark played a great game, but Croatia winning 2-1. Denmark's ranked 10th in the world. Croatia is ranked 15. Austria is ranked 33. And lastly, Morocco. You know what? A bit of a shocker for Morocco, but Chile, 2-0 win? You would not have thought that beforehand, especially when they drew 2-2 with Qatar recently. I'm talking Morocco, right? But tomorrow, Morocco plays another game. When we play our game against Uruguay 13 in the world, us 43. But when Morocco plays Paraguay tomorrow, like today on Tuesday, and Paraguay's 50th in the world, we'll get to see another glimpse of what Morocco's all about. But I tell you what, getting back to what we're about. Recent results. You saw what happened there with Canada. Let's take a look at Uruguay's recent results, and you'll be surprised. Recently, a 0-0 with the USA, 5-0 over Panama. Yeah, 5-0 over Panama. Remember when we won 4-1? It was pretty much the same kind of game. They won 5-0. And you've got to say, they blew them off the park. And then last of all, bit of a shocker, they lose to Iran 1-0. Now, what a great result that is for Iran. And looking back into June, we were going to play Iran, and that would have been a good game to base ourselves against Iran. Let's face it, Iran is a big team. So is Uruguay. And you've got to look at those two teams hitting each other as like Panama and Paraguay and all those teams. Make your own assessments of what I've just filtered down to you. But I don't think Canada needs to be scared. I think we just need to play our game, be very resolute, very disciplined. But in front of goal, we've got to be ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. If we're not ruthless, it's just not going to happen, yeah? So looking at the form, that's one thing. That's one thing. Now, talking about the lineups, I want to take a look at Canada's last lineup because I think mostly from there, that starting lineup, we're going to see a team built for this game against Uruguay. Take a look at Canada's last lineup now. In the last game against Qatar, Canada had a lineup, a formation, a system of 3-4-1-2. I said last game, before the game even came around in the pre-game, that Canada could go with 3 at the back. I wanted 5 in the middle to make the wing backs even both sides. I think had we had the 3-5-2, I think it would have come off far better against Qatar. I think we would have had way more action. You're saying, Steve, we had loads of action. I say, yes, we did have loads of action, but I think 3-5-2 would have been more effective, and we didn't have that 3-5-2. We dominated the game, but there was no one stage where we dominated that last game. The Canada dominated the complete field, and that's what we're getting good at. But against Uruguay, it's going to be different. Now, 3-4-1-2 against Qatar cannot go ahead against Uruguay. You've got to be a lot more disciplined in your approach, and you've got to be a little bit scared of their front attack. We're going to look at Uruguay pretty soon, but we have to set up, in my opinion, the best way to go Uruguay and stop Uruguay getting to us and doing the damage. I think a lateral 4-4-2 would suit us tomorrow against Uruguay very well. Strong midfield, strong defence, and we've got the prongs down the middle, not wide. We're not wasting any balls. 4-4-2, straight down the middle. And your wide midfielders are the wingers of the team. So I think 4-4-2 gives us safety. We can stay in the counter-attack mode, and we can't sort of risk too much because, let's face it, there is a lot of skill on the Uruguay team, which we're going to touch very soon. But I say this, we have to be disciplined, we have to be ruthless in front of goal, and we got to focus every minute of the game. Lose your concentration, lose a goal. It's going to be that simple. Lose a man, it's in the back of the net. Tomorrow is a big test. Tuesday is going to be a massive test for this team. And I think that we're equal to it, we'll match it, and by the end of 90 minutes, we'll know where we're at. Now, let's take a look at Uruguay's front line, midfield, and defence in their lineup from the last game. Looking up front, Uruguay, Pelistri, Suarez, and that man Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. Núñez, young gun, massive talent, they put him on the left wing. Suarez was down the middle, because he's not that mobile anymore. He's 35, remember, so he's the elder statesman. He's not going to play the wing. He's going to go down the middle. I think that's a mistake. One thing about the Uruguayan national team is a great blend of youth and experience. Up front, your experience is Luis Suarez. 133 games for Uruguay, 68 goals. Quite the measure, eh? Quite the measure. Facundo Pelistri, young kid, 20 years old, at Manchester United, 7 games for Uruguay so far. He's a real talent, no goals so far. I'm sure as he gets older, things are going to come his way. Then Darwin Núñez, yeah, comes from Spain, goes to Liverpool. I think the track record speaks for itself. Look it up. Look up the stats on Darwin Núñez. Top player, top dollar to Liverpool. He deserves to be in the middle. I don't think that you want to have that talent out on the wing, just sitting there. He is a man for the middle. So I think tomorrow you might well see Núñez come down the middle. In fact, if I was a Uruguayan coach, I'd put Núñez down the middle and I'd put Suarez on the bench and I'd bring Suarez on for maybe the last 20 minutes. Another big guy that they have up front is Edinson Cavani. 133 games for the national team, just like Luis Suarez, but not 68 goals, 58 goals. So both those strikers, both 35 years age, coming to the end of their career, have had a great career for the national team, but the legs are what they don't have anymore. So they're going to rely on the youth up front to be mobile. Hence, that's why Nunes right now is out wide. And Facundo Pellistri is also out wide. The young guns are on the wing. The elder statesmen are down the middle. And I think that that'll be easier for people like Vitoria, maybe Miller, to handle those two guys in the middle. I think when they match up down the middle, physically, I don't think Canada has an issue. I think we match up very well. So looking at the front line, that's what you're really looking at. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of firepower, there's a lot of experience, there's a great mix. But this Uruguay team has only conceded 2 goals in the last 8 games. That will tell you something. So, new coach of 8 games, new lineups coming through, a mix of youth and great experience. Don't forget, you've got great defensive players as well for the Uruguay national team. You got to say Diego Cortés, brilliant player, and 36 years of age, 8 goals for the national team in 159 games. Another big player for Uruguay. But what I'm saying is the elder guys are coming to the end of it. The young guys need to come through fast. They've taken some criticism in Uruguay for the way this team has been built, the blend. And I think that, you know, this is a team possibly for a World Cup in maybe 4 years' time. I don't see Uruguay punching through too hard at this World Cup. But I think in the next World Cup, Uruguay may have something to say. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But that's just my take. So a mixture of youth and age is what Uruguay's got. We've got more youth than age. We have a few elder statesmen. And don't always look at Atiba. I know he's 39. He'll be 40 next year. But we have a lot of great youth in our team. So I think we're looking for an exciting game. I think Telne Paul, Brickfield will be pretty well empty. I don't see anybody getting inside it. And it's a 22,500 seater stadium. Beautiful stadium. Have a look at the pictures that are coming through. You'll see them. But a beautiful stadium right now. So remember, guys, Canada taking on Uruguay in Bratislava, where Slovan Bratislava play in Slovakia. It kicks off at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Check your listings, but it kicks off 10 o'clock Mountain Time. And finally, the Japan game coming up in November 17th. That kicks off at 6:40 a.m. Mountain Time. Check your listings again, guys, but there's the both times for those 2 games. My take on the game, what am I looking for as a scoreline? You always know I put the scoreline in, and yeah, bang, thank you guys for the kind words online. I did get the 2-0, didn't I? This one here, I think, goes one of 2 ways. Are we in for a shock? Are we really in for a shock result? Is Canada going to upset the 13th team in the world while we're 43? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Is Uruguay a team, or is Canada the team? I think on the chemistry, Canada's got a great team. There's no superstars upsetting the brew. When you get massive big superstars, it upsets the potion and basically ruins the locker room. I think Canada's mojo is back again. From what I saw in the last game, there's a lot of positivity, there's a lot of love between the players, there's a lot of work off the ball too and on the ball. I think our chemistry weighs up better than Uruguay. No disrespect to Uruguay, love you guys, but I gotta say, I see what I see. Canada's positive action, the way they bond together, this brotherhood, well, it's getting stronger by the minute. This game here is what we need, exactly what we need right now. We need a massive big test, and I think if we stand up to this is the test we need to see. If we stand up against Uruguay and we get a result, and if we get a result for me would be a 2-1 against Uruguay. I don't see a slender 1-0. I see a possible 2-1, and I don't see us wasting chances, and I also see us being more deliberate in our build-up play. We're not going to rush every 5 seconds like we did against Qatar. There's no need to. And the reason why we rushed and went with full power is because Qatar was not up to our level. We've got to maintain and be up to Uruguay's level. So the first 15 minutes, you will see Canada come into the game very carefully, but on the motion that they can get the counter-attack going. So if there's a risk of going forward, they're going to hang back. But if it's right to play that ball, look for a zip ball at an angle through the defense, not necessarily down the line. Watch some creativity coming in front of the goal, not just down the line. Looking to see Jonathan David getting on the board. I'd love to see Steven Eustáquio get a little bit more disciplined in the middle and get that general action going again. Last game he was fine, but I want to see more. And the guys that came on, if you're going to come on and do something, you better do something. Liam Miller came on, looked like he wanted to stay in the Canadian national team until the first game in Belgium. Kone came on, he looked like a man lost at sea again. That's a few times Kone's been on the starting lineup. He looks great with CF Montreal, but he doesn't look great on the national team. Sometimes guys who are looking really good in the club football don't look great in national teams. It's just the way it is. There's a lot of guys that are spectacular for club football, and they just didn't turn it on internationally. Okay, guys, I'm looking for the 2-1 for Canada. If it goes the other way, 2-0 to Uruguay, it could possibly be a draw, but I think there's a winner at the end of the day. And I think, honestly, you'll be surprised how well we compete with Uruguay on the fitness and on the speed. Actually, on the skill as well. We've got a team. So get up in the morning, get ready for that great game, and get ready for some action. I think that we are going to be absolutely very impressed with what we see, and tactics is going to be key. So Johnny Herdman, if he gets the tactics right, we're on to a result. It's all about effort, and we know our guys give us the effort. The tactics is in the bag. Johnny Herdman's done a great job most of the time, not all of the time, but he's got us to Qatar. Our team has come so far, eh? You know what I'm saying? End of the day, enjoy it, watch it, get it on One Soccer. That's where I'll be watching it. And I'm looking for the 2-1 Canada or 2-0 Uruguay. That's what I see both ways. I'm going to enjoy this. I hope you are too. Guys, take it easy and get ready for Uruguay because I can't wait. Cheers.
So make it happen, make us glad. Keep scoring goals every game. Get out the group and bring us fame. Oh, we're going to Qatar. Our team has come so very far. Our team has come